Welcome to the IMSA Grid Finder Time Attack Challenge. My name is Soil Almeida, racing driver and coach, and here's a quick tutorial for the challenge number 4 at Fuji with the GTP. Let's watch the lap first, and then I'll explain the thought process in each corner. Okay, so first thing, you have to maximize your braking on a straight line in this car. There are two very important corners where if you don't really understand the loss of downforce in your brake traces, you won't find enough lap time. Right here, braking at the 150, and if you look at my braking trace, straight to 100, stay on 100 until I get more or less into 4th gear, and then I start releasing the brakes on a straight line still here, and then when I start actually turning, I start dropping a lot more. And then I realized that I locked up the front tires a little bit, which is why I had this slightly bigger drop here on my brake trace just to unlock the front tire. One thing here, you want to get into 1st gear, and if you don't brake too late, the car will turn very fine. If you do get a little bit late under braking, just be careful not to get into that 1st gear because the engine braking is going to spin the car. So 1st gear, really trying to rotate as much as you can before you get back on power. There is a phase of coasting right here because this car does rotate a lot on corner entry. And then get back on power, relax your hands and let the car flow all the way to the outside here. It's just gonna allow you to not abuse the traction control as much so you can have a slightly better exit. Then make sure you use all the track here. As you can see, it looks like I'm using the grass. I'm definitely not. I'm just making sure that it's right on the limit. And then stay on 5th gear. Start braking. The car is already under engine braking. As you can see, look at the triangular shape. Very quick peak on the braking and then already trail braking. Trying to use maybe not too much. As you can see, it looks like I'm using a lot, but I'm just barely touching the left edge of this curb. The car doesn't like it too much. It starts jumping a little bit. Then back on power, let the car go all the way to the outside. All the way to the outside. And then you come back just before the end of the curb. As soon as you get on this green area here, the off-track sensors, they move from here to here. So just make sure that you don't have all the 4 tires on the green. That will give you an off-track and invalidate your lap. And then you want to be on the inside until right before the car starts going wide. And then you start trail braking. The car will go more or less into the middle of the track. And then you get back on power as it starts to point back. It's a very double apexy approach. It just feels a little bit weird because you are hugging the inside until the corners start tightening here. When it does start tightening, then you immediately have to start trail braking to do that double apex approach and really try to have your car on this area on the inside because it really helps rotate the car and keep the car going more to the right so that you can prepare the braking into this left-hander. And then as soon as you get here, just make sure when you start braking, you don't brake too hard because you're falling on a crest and because the car is laterally unbalanced. So you're turning right and then you're braking a little bit and going left. So just you don't have a lot of room for error. If you brake a little bit too hard here, it's very, very easy to lock up the front tires and go straight. Then you want to go and use a little bit of this inside. I thought this was a little bit too much when I was doing this lap, but the car handled it perfectly, and I actually did gain a little bit of time. Then back on power, as you can see, extremely linear, extremely progressive. The car is rotating a lot on this setup. And then I go all the way to the outside. Just make sure you don't go over the green because it activates a lot of traction control and you just lose speed. Then braking slightly before this bridge, very hard braking, same trace as you can see on a straight line, and then I start releasing still on a straight line. So I'm releasing the brakes right here because of the loss of downforce, and then when I start turning in, then there is a steeper release on the brakes. So you can see that my brake trace, it goes to 100 right here, then it goes down more or less on this shape, and then when I turn, there is another steeper brake release. This is a very traditional formula braking trace right here. Then on first gear, making sure the car rotates as much as possible. Here, what really matters in this whole hairpin is that you do go as much as you can to the right, so that when you do change direction here, you don't lose a lot of time. And the car is going to be kind of a little bit numb here. You use this curve, it makes the car jump a little bit and just not have any grip. So from here until the end of the lap, it's going to feel like there's absolutely zero grip, just because this whole sector is made to trick you into overshooting the corners and exits as well. Get back on power. As you can see, lots of lifting, lots of torque on the first gear, and then finally only getting to second here. Very, very light hands and allowing the car to very patiently drift all the way to the outside. Then careful braking, lots of coasting actually, and getting back on power quite early just because the car is oversteering so much, especially right here. As you can see, we cannot see the track from this area. That means there's going to be very, very low grip around this area here, right before the loss of vision here and right after, because we're falling down. So the car is sliding, as you can see, little micro corrections right there, and then getting not all the way to the outside, but like preparing more or less 4/5 on the right here. And then you, again, same thing, very, very careful with the brake release. Coasting for a long time because the car is just slowly rotating and slowly sliding because there is no grip. We're falling on a crest again, no grip on this exit, and we do exactly the same thing on the last corner. It's a closing radius, so you have to be very patient, think really about the exit more than anything else. So as you can see, waiting, and then getting back on power quite early. Look at how early I'm already accelerating because I'm really thinking about preparing the best exit I can so I can really benefit from this huge straight. So that is the lap. I hope you have a great time attack challenge and have fun.